Good day, friends. So when we had left Henry Huggins, uh, his his two fish had turned into many fish, right? Because the fish were having babies, and as soon as he got them into new jars, they had more babies. So all day long, the boys and girls in the neighborhood rang the doorbell and asked to see Henry's fish. And this is Ribsy lying on the bed, and you can see Henry. Oh, great, my phone died. Here we go. Henry's got jars and jars and jars and jars with fish in them, and he does not know what to do. Finally, his mother said, "Henry, this can't go on. You must get rid of some of those fish. You'll have to give them away to your friends." Henry liked each fish so much he couldn't decide which one he liked best. They were all so lively, swimming around in their fruit jars. Henry didn't see how he could part with any of them, but now that he was on the third row of jars around his bedroom, he decided to try. He started asking his friends in the neighborhood if they would like to have some pet fish. Scooter, the boy from the bus, didn't think he had time to take care of fish. He had a job delivering the shopping news paper 2 days a week. Mary Jane said her mom wouldn't let her have any fish. Mary Jane's mom was very particular. Robert said he'd rather just come over and look at Henry's fish than have to take care of guppies on his own. Finally, Beezus said she would take one fish. Beezus's real name was Beatrice, but her little sister Ramona called her Beezus, and now everyone else did too. Beezus and Ramona already had a cat, 3 white rats, and a turtle, so one fish wouldn't make much difference. It took Henry a long time to decide which guppy to give to Beezus. Then, one morning, Mrs. Huggins came home from the supermarket with 3 big lugs of apricots in the back of the car. When Henry helped her carry them into the house, she said, "Henry, run down into the basement and bring up about 20 quart glass jars. These apricots are so ripe, I want to start canning them right away." So she wants to take her fresh fruit and put it into the glass jars so that they will stay fresh and they can have them for a long time. So Henry went down into the basement, but he did not come back with 20 quart jars. He came back with 4. These are all I could find, Mom," he said. "Oh dear, and one of them has a crack." Mrs. Huggins looked at the 3 lugs of apricots, and then she looked at Henry. "Henry," she said, and he knew from the way she said it, she meant whatever she was going to say. "Henry, go to your room and bring me 17 quart jars, and don't bring me any jars with guppies in them either." Yes, Mom," said Henry in a meek voice. He went into his room and looked at the jars of guppies. He guessed he did have too many fish, but they were such nice fish. He got down on his hands and knees to look closely at his pet fish. "Henry," his mother called, "I'm starting to pit the apricots. You'll have to hurry. I need those jars." "Okay, Mom." Henry took his net and started catching the smallest guppies. The only thing he could do was to move them in with the other fish. He hated to do it because the fish book said they shouldn't be crowded. When the guppies were moved, he carried the jars into the kitchen and poured the water down the sink. "I'm sorry, Henry," his mother said, "but after all, I did tell you some time ago you couldn't go on putting guppies in fruit jars." "I know, Mom. I guess I'll have to think of something else." It took Henry the rest of the morning to feed his fish. He had to put the tiniest pinch of the finest fish food into each jar. Out the window, he could hear Robert and Beezus playing cowboys in the vacant lot. His dog Ribsy trotted into his room, watched him a few minutes, and then went outside. Henry began to wish he were outside too, but he couldn't let his fish go hungry. Late that afternoon, Mrs. Huggins drove downtown to pick up Henry's father after work. When they came home, Henry saw his father carrying more lugs of apricots into the kitchen. He had a feeling what was coming next. It came. "Henry," his mother said, "I'm afraid I'll have to ask you for some more fruit jars." "Oh," Henry sighed. "I guess I'll have to double them up some more." He started to go back to his room and then turned back. "Hey, say, Mom, are you going to can anything besides apricots this year?" "Oh, yes, sweetie. Tomatoes and pears, and I thought we might go out to Mount Hood and pick some huckleberries. You like huckleberry pie during the winter, don't you?" Oh, he certainly did like huckleberry pie. He liked it in the winter, he liked it in the summer, he liked it any time of year. He went to his room and moved more of his guppies. Tomatoes, pears, huckleberries. He could see his mom was going to use all the fruit jars before the summer was over, and that would leave him his original bowl and the gallon pickle jar. "Hey, Ma!" he yelled. "Are you going to make dill pickles too?" "Yes, Henry." There went the pickle jar. By the end of the summer, Henry would have to move the hundreds of fish he had now, and goodness knows how many more, back into the original bowl. There'd be so many fish in there wouldn't be room for water. That settled it. Henry decided he would have to get rid of all his guppies. He hated to do it, but if he kept even 2, he would soon be right back where he was now. It'd be nice to have time to play outside with his friends again. Henry made up his mind to take every one of his fish back to the Lucky Dog pet shop. Maybe Mr. Pennycuff could have another sale? Henry was chasing the guppy around a jar with the net when his dad came into the room. He told his dad his plan for the fish. "I sure hate to do it," he said, "but I can't keep 1,000,000 guppies in my bedroom." He looked sadly at his fish. "I know, Henry. I hate to see the fish go too, but this is getting out of hand. I'll tell you what to do. Catch all the guppies and put them in the pickle jar. It won't hurt them to be crowded for a little while. And right after we finish dinner, I'll run you down to the pet shop in the car." Henry sadly packed up his fish, and after supper he and his dad and Ribsy got in the car and drove to the pet shop. Ribsy liked to ride in the car. "Excuse me, Mr. Pennycuff. I brought you a lot of guppies. I hope you can use them." "Use them?" explained Mr. Pennycuff. "I certainly can. I haven't had a guppy in this store since the sale. Let me see 'em." While Henry unwrapped his pickle jar, his dad looked at the tanks of tropical fish along the wall. "I should say you do have a lot of guppies," said Mr. Pennycuff. "Nice healthy ones, too. You must have taken good care of them." He held the jar up to the light and looked at it closely. It seethed with gray guppies, rainbow guppies, and baby guppies of all sizes swimming around and around. Let's see. Well, Mr. Pennycup continued to stare at the fish. Henry couldn't understand why he was muttering to himself that way. He had given Mr. Pennycup the guppies, and now he wished he would return the pickle jar so he could go home. Well, now, said Mr. Pennycup, I guess these guppy fish here you got are worth about $7. I can't give it to you in cash money, but you can get $7 worth of anything in the store you want. $7? Henry was astounded. $7 worth of anything in the pet shop. He was rich. He'd been so busy thinking about getting rid of the guppies, it hadn't occurred to him they might be worth something to Mr. Pennycup. Hey, Dad, did you hear that? $7! Henry shouted. I certainly did. You'd better start looking around. Take anything you want, Sonny. Dog collars, kittens, birdseed, anything. Henry tried to decide what he would like. Ribsy had a collar and a leash and a dog dish, so he didn't need anything like that. He looked at the kittens. The sign read, "Kittens, $1 each." They were cute, but Henry decided he didn't want $7 worth of kittens. Ribsy would just chase them all around the house. You don't have any skunks for sale for $7, do you? He asked hopefully. No, I haven't had any skunks for a long time. Oh, I'm glad to hear that, said Mr. Huggins. Henry looked at the tropical fish. Then he looked all around the store and came back to the tropical fish again. He stopped to watch a little catfish busily digging in the sand. Suddenly, Henry knew the only thing in the store he really wanted was more fish. Excuse me, Mr. Pennycup, could I keep a catfish in my fishbowl? No, Sonny, those guys gotta be kept in warm water. They need an electric heater and a thermostat in the water to make sure the water's the right temperature. And he held up 2 long glass tubes. One looked like it was filled with sand, and the other looked like it was filled with wires. See, this is what I mean. They fit in the corners of the aquarium like this, and they keep the water warm all the time. He fitted them into the corner of a little tank on the table. How much does that cost? The tank is $3, and the thermostat comes to $4. How much is that? That makes $7. Henry was disappointed. If I bought the heater and the tank, I wouldn't have any money left over for the fish. And the only thing I really want is more fish. You know, Henry, I hoped you'd say that, answered his father. I hated to see those guppies go as much as you did. If you buy the tank and the heater and thermostat with your $7, I'll buy you the catfish. Gee, Dad, that's swell. Let's get a little catfish. Then Henry thought of something. Mr. Pennycup, do catfish have as many babies as guppies? Oh, my, no. Oh, my, no. Catfish rarely have babies when they're kept in tanks. They mostly have them when they live outside in the ponds and rivers. Swell, said Henry. That's the kind of fish we want. Won't Mom be surprised? And that's where we're going to end today. Have a great weekend. See you Monday.